part 2 of this bill, and in particular I want to concentrate on clause 58, the abatement of weekly compensation, because if there was ever an example of not letting the facts get in the way of a good rant, it was from the Labour members this morning. And actually this is an extension of the irrational, in fact ill-informed rant that started in Select Committee and is continuing today. But one of the more disappointing aspects of this is that Labour members were prepared to sit by while submitter after submitter complained about things in the bill that just weren't there. So, what I want to do is take the members on the other side through a couple of pieces of legislation. I know that's difficult for some because it involves reading the law, so I'll go very slowly. I'm going to go very slowly, and it's quite appropriate, I think, that the Minister of Labour is in the chair at the moment because it actually relates to the Holidays Act 2003. Now, who passed the Holidays Act? Oh, it was Labour. That's right. So, for the benefit of the members on the other side who don't understand and have never employed staff, I'm going to work very slowly through it. Under Section 16 of the Holidays Act, every employee is entitled to 4 weeks annual leave. Now, that entitlement to annual leave accrues even though the employee... See, isn't it amazing how they can't listen and talk at the same time? They think they can, but they're actually listening with their mouths, not their ears. And that really prevents a bit of learning. The entitlement to annual leave includes when a person is on maternity leave, when they're on volunteers leave, and when they're on weekly compensation. And when the anniversary of their entitlement to that annual leave clicks over, that 4 weeks is banked. It is calculated on their ordinary earnings and is paid out. Okay? Now, when an employee's contractor's agreement is terminated, the provisions of Section 23, 24 and 25 apply. Now, what that says is that you calculate, and I have to accept, and for the benefit of Darian Fenton, she was correct, I was misunderstood in this aspect of the law, and the officials clarified this for me. What's really interesting about this is that actually employers are paying this out greater than their requirement to do so under the Holidays Act. I know of a number of employees that pay this portion out, notwithstanding they don't have to, because the definition of gross earnings, as set out in an earlier definition of the Act, and is applied in sections 23 to 25, doesn't include weekly compensation. So here's the thing. I want to run through a scenario of a nurse of mine who suffered a shoulder injury. See, they're listening and talking at the same time. And she took 2.5 years and about 3 surgeries before it was agreed reluctantly that she would never return to active nursing again. And her contract of employment was terminated under frustration provisions. Now, what happened was she had, up until the time of her injury, accrued annual leave for her working, and that's a concern of Mr Parker's, I know. She was on 80% weekly compensation and used that annual leave to top up her earnings so that she was getting the same take-home pay as she would had she not been injured. 2 years passed, Mr Chairman, and the entitlements to annual leave in accordance with Section 16 of the Holidays Act clicked over, and she was validly entitled to those, and that's what we're talking about in terms of the abatement provisions. The balance of the year that she did not accrue annual leave prior to her termination, actually we paid that out. I now know under law we didn't have to. But here's the point. If we don't pay it out, it can't be abated. So that's a red herring as well. What we are talking about essentially is annual leave accrued during the period of incapacity that is then paid out. And all this does is simply say, don't pay twice. Well, I'm going to come to seasonal workers if I get a chance. I may not get time. But what I also want to just quickly touch on before the end of this call is this issue of it only costs $3 or $4 million. The hearing loss provisions, only $3 or $4 million. The Holidays Act issues only $3 or $4 million. Let me tell you that the ACC actuaries are provisioning over $1 billion in full funding entitlements for hearing loss.
Call Carol Beaumont.